Here, here.
You're older than apples.
See you later, apples.
How rude.
Let's be honest, apples, you deserved it.
Here. I'm posting the rules.
Is this the
Message needs to be
stupid game
shorter.
where you like, if like you see an okay, you have to like put your goddamn shoulder to the floor? Because that's a stupid ass game.
I don't know.
What? That sounds horrible.
It's stupid. I remember that in high school.
In high school, we played Pogs. I played football.
Ew.
Oh, I'm not gonna read all this.
Chapter 1.
Holy crap, what the hell? The offensive player's hand must be below his... What? The victim?
Apples.
What?
What? What is...
Trick another person into looking at his hand? What kind of game is
and
this?
trying to poke it. It's like some weird, like, quasi-sexual aggression game.
It's hardcore, man.
Now, I don't say this often, hardly at all, because it's offensive. But is this a game for retards, apples?
Literally, everyone does. Here, I bet my little sister knows it because she's young. Alex, what's this? You know what this is?
No offense, apples, but I don't know that this is gonna prove your point or my point.
The circle game? You know what that is? What? Fuck off, Alex. How have you never seen that? You know when people do this?
Oh, like the look down here,
Yeah, see, Alex knows
yeah.
it.
You look down here, you go like this, which means
Well,
you
I'm
got-
sorry. I didn't think you were
Ah,
stupid.
maybe you got it, the freaking thing right. And then
Screw you, Alex.
Oops.
What is wrong with people in Ohio?
I know, right?
Most of the people are normal. It's just my family. I
Good
mean,
circle game. Frick is wrong with it.
that's what it's called.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but anyway, I'll just be like the other day I'm at my desk, and this chick is walking by, and she's like, hey, and I look over, and she's just doing that fucking symbol, and just walks by real quick.
How these would get played every day.
You know it.
Oh god. I really hope Magplar's good.
Yeah.
Me too, I'm leveling one up.
What are you trying? For next
I'm thinking I'm gonna try sweeps first, and then I'm gonna try the new Sigic line. I think I'm gonna have to level that though. Cause like all the buffs aren't like class specific,
Yeah.
so like Magicka Wardens and Templars got a buff, but it's cause like every Magicka class got a buff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hell? Freaking microphone got stuck in my beard. What the fuck?
I guess you just gotta cut your beard off.
No.
I have such muscle memory, so normally I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
because half the time my wife is like doing other games and stuff beside me. And tonight she wasn't, so I'm not on push to talk, but I still find myself like holding down the alt key whenever I'm speaking. I realize I've been holding down alt for 5 minutes. I'm like, you know,
Your wife should play ESO with us.
yeah, I keep trying to convince her, but she's not sold. She played back with me for like a year when the game first launched from beta to like the first year of the game. It's hard to pull her
Oh.
back.
She can be friends with me and Sophie.
Yeah. I'm trying to tail it. There's good peeps.
And then there's Apple.
Apple's
Hey,
gonna ask you to take a vacation if she ever did.
I was very polite when I met NZ's wife. I just told her I was a big fan of her husband's work.
Alright, well, I'm gonna
Or
write an update
what's-
for Sophie so that she can.
Put in an officer so we can read it.
Yeah, I will.
Please.
Yay! I sent her a Snapchat of the officer chat where I just said, fuck those hoes. So I think she has some idea that it's not going well.
Yeah.
So
Sources
tomorrow,
should be primed.
we're doing Cloud Rest, right?
Yes,
Yes.
that's the plan.
I will be there. Have fun.
Can't be worse than tonight.
It's not so far very high. Getting rusty rebar sodomy can't be worse than tonight.
Although I haven't even done it on normal, so going in on that would be fun.
Do I want to do Julie or Burning Spellweave?
Sunday VHOF.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Apples his skin. As long as it doesn't go like tonight.
Yeah.
I don't think it will.
Scrippies.
I don't know. Maybe I struck the fear of God into everybody in progression who came tonight.
I hope so.
My opinion on rating is if you're gonna be doing this kind of stuff, you gotta give it 110%.
Yeah.
So I want to only raid for an hour on Sunday. I just want to let you know.
Yeah. Yeah, if we could get it clear within 45, that'd
Ah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
that.
Hard mode too, by the way. I don't do normal hard mode.
yeah.
I thought this was going to be a fast run.
Fuck me.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
And the
Get
last
the
one,
fuck out of here.
last one only took 4 hours. We could do this one in 30.
I think we can get it down to like 2.5. Because if you like consider that we took like an hour and a half on the Assembly General alone,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like if we cut that down to like half an hour,
Yeah.
I think that's doable.
Yeah, if we can repeat the performance of the committee, because I don't remember how many people it was, but it was very reasonable the amount of time.
I think it was like 3 polls, 2 or 3 polls. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, because I think Scrippy was with us when we first got to the committee, so she... Oh, was Apples there for our first time at the committee?
Yes.
That's triple robo.
Yeah.
Okay, Alex is blackmailing me, and just say no to what she's about to ask.
Okay.
But she wants to know if she can read you her like fucking 40-page gay porno story
Not
that she
40
wrote.
pages.
What the fuck?
Wait, why?
I don't know because she
Can't you like
thinks
read it
it's
to her
good.
dog or something?
Be-
Or your
because
dog?
Her audience is a bunch of internet weirdos, and she
I
thinks we
kinda
fit
want
the
you to read
demographic.
it. I'd rather have you read it.
Yeah, basically. Well, she turned it in for a school project, and the teacher was like, gave her an A, but she was like, this is way too inappropriate for school.
At least she's honest about it?
Yeah.
Sure. I feel like I'm gonna regret saying yes, but
He
sure.
he said sure. Let me turn off.
Okay,
I don't
but
want to
Adam
hold off
has
this whole
to
time.
read it.
I don't really want.
Well, I'm
The
hungry. I
character-
gotta
the
go.
character Apple.
Story time with apples. Here we go. Alright.
Oh, night, guys.
Kelly, no, you have to stay. You're here with us. How do I stop somebody from leaving? Damn it, she already left.
Okay, I want to hear their comments. I want to be able to hear.
Huh?
I want to be able to hear.
Well, how are you gonna? She wants me to make it so you can. I don't know how to do that.
Okay, never mind. It's too hard.
I don't. How do I make?
That's what
your
she
guys'
said.
Shut up.
I don't know, gay porno and now.
How do I make your?
Wait a
guys'
minute, wait a minute,
voices
Wait a minute.
look
Have you already started it? Because you're talking about it being too hard and shit. So
No,
have you started
shut
the
up.
story yet, or what?
No, here, I gotta make it so Alex wants to hear your reaction, so I have to
I need feedback. I'm an aspiring writer.
really figure this out. Playback devices, speakers, that should work, right?
Play.
Sure.
Wait. Playback plays it back to you.
There we go, I got it. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, here we go.
I want their feedback as an aspiring writer, Adam. You know?
The Purple Penthouse by Alexis Brown.
Wait, why is
I
it
had
purple?
never gone. Why's it purple, Alex?
Figure it out.
Purple is the color of royalty. Is this like some scandalous nature between like a king and his like male servant or something?
I'm a fast reader, so you're probably a fast reader.
I had never gone to a bar before, and I sure as hell had never gone. You see that? No, as hell never gone to. You have to say have never gone.
Can you not read? That's what I wrote.
No, you didn't. You left out the have. Okay.
Go.
Never gone to a gay one at that. I wasn't gay. I knew I wasn't gay. In fact, the thought of two men touching each other in their private regions, and let alone enjoy it, disgusted me. This is highly homophobic. I'm not reading this.
I'll read it. I don't care. I feel like we get more satisfaction when you read it though.
But when you grow up with a homosexual as a wingman and a best friend, you have to know when to be flexible. Especially if it's that certain faggot's birthday. What the fuck, Alexa?
Pretty sure that word's not a good one.
Did you really turn this in for a school podcast?
I got an A on it, so it doesn't matter, does it?
I feel like the teacher didn't read it then. Probably was just like, oh, this is long enough. This is an A.
She told me that it was one of the best things he's like ever read from me, but she was like, it's just so.
How do you know that she didn't say that to the other 20 people in your class?
No, but everyone wanted.
And remember, everybody's special in high school.
But we all read it and they all agreed it was really good. But
Jesus.
Probably
Yeah,
because it
like
was about
class-
sex. Everybody
Yeah, we had
loves
class
sex.
Story time, and everyone really liked.
So when Oliver practically begged me to accompany him to the most well-known gay bar around for a birthday smash and dash, I couldn't say no. I didn't see any real problem with going, other than I wasn't a homosexual. The only thing I considered to be a personal issue with venturing into such uncharted waters, where the water was made from the man sweat of 12 hunky male strippers, was what to wear. I was absolutely certain that a suit was a no-go, or any formal clothing at that. When you look all spiffy and polished, you become one of those electric bug killers that mesmerize any poor bug that happens to flitter by. In this case,
Wait,
those
what?
hormone-
Can you read that again, like twice as slow?
When you look all spiffy and polished, you become one of those electric bug killers that mesmerize any poor bug that happens to flitter by. In this case, those
Okay,
hormone-hungry
that was
boys
a little
could be the
confusing.
bugs, and I, the eye-catching man candy. I wasn't looking to attract that kind of attention. Those sweatpants and a Nintendo t-shirt, it was. At 9:15, I was standing outside my apartment, hands
This
shoved into
and
my
this.
pockets the farthest they could go, and peering down the street as Oliver's shiny
Sorry,
red
I'm just trying to
Mustang
remember
swung
what
around
my
the corner.
Magplar setup
His
is.
parents, who were filthy rich, had surprised him with
this,
it that morning at his early morning preview to the rest of the gifts they had in store for him. I wouldn't be surprised if they visited next time. I would be greeted with next time I came over, I would be greeted with a tame.
Next time
I would be greeted with a tame jaguar that could juggle or something. Even though we were nearing the age of 23, Oliver still lived with his parents, and was supported in every way, while I was enjoying a life of solitude and ramen noodles for dinner night after night. Yet, despite being kicked out of the house the nanosecond I turned 18, I have always known I'd had a place at Oliver's dinner table. I had been going over there since we were in 3rd grade, when we both realized our shared love for Mario Kart and long nights with a saucy edition of Playboy magazine. I like how the teacher circled Playboy and was like, I think, underline think, it's one word.
What?
Also, it should
Also,
be italicized as it's the name of a magazine.
wait, also if it's male porn, I'm pretty sure it's Playgirl, not Playboy.
Yeah, Alex.
My bad. I honestly don't know.
I have not seen many penises in a Playboy mag.
Yeah, get together, Alex. You should have come to
It's
me.
not that they like.
You
gay
should have
people
come to
now,
the
right?
master.
They like girls, so it's.
Wait.
Of course, those sessions ended as soon as Oliver professed his gay love for my neighbor, Gary. Now, Gary, in my opinion, wasn't cute. or stylish, or handsome, or buff, or well, anything to make him attractive enough to date. The girls in the neighborhood thought so too, I'm sure of it.
Think
But
I
what Gary
got
didn't
my
have
bars
was a guitar,
figured
and
out.
that made Oliver swing. Goddamn right. So when Oliver refused to peek over the fence on Saturday afternoons and spy on Stacy's mom as she
Yeah,
laid out
so
in
this
the
is the
sun
right,
for a
this is
good
the right
2
bar.
hours
'Cause I have
trying to
Fire
work
Rage
the
up here because I don't
equivalent
have
of
a
Bob Marley.
Destro Staff ult
Instead,
ability
go
on here.
strain our ears outside Gary's condo trying to catch a single lick of his off-key
So-
notes. I knew he was gay.
Stacy's mom's got it going on.
I know, that's what I referenced.
But obviously, since I was the one sitting behind
Okay,
him,
I
beside
got
him,
everything set up for a
in his
Magplar.
perfect black leather-seated red
Hold on, I'm
Mustang,
just gonna turn
it
down
hadn't
Discord real quick so you
mattered.
guys can hear me. I don't know how loud
And
my mic
because
is.
of that, I was on my way to my first gay bar. The place was only 20 minutes away, but with Oliver's ecstatic babbling, each mile became the length of a whole fucking continent. He was waving his hands erratically, enough that I do not even think he was.
Okay,
This
so,
girl doesn't cuss, but this does not cuss.
I
The worst she's
am
ever said was she called me a dick.
going to be testing primarily the Magplar tonight. So I'm going to start off with the typical sweeps Magplar, then I'm going to move on to using Force Pulse, and this is all going to be at melee range, so we can take advantage of Rearming Trap. Then I'll try it at ranged, so we don't have Rearming Trap, so we'll try that out. And then I'm going to do another parse with the new Sigic spammable elemental weapon and see how that fares as a ranged Magplar, and then again as a melee Magplar. So the Magplar is kind of in a weird position because you can play ranged or melee with either spec, so it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
At my request, he scrunched up. Oh, my response. He scrunched up his nose, so I added, "But I bet the alcohol's good. Expensive, perhaps, but will leave me thinking I'm having an intense wrestling match with Tony the Tiger, when in reality, it's the bouncer dragging my drunk ass out." Oliver smiled at that. When does this get to the good part?
You gotta keep going. You're slow AF.
Well, Alex, I mean, if I'm talking like this, they can't fucking pay attention to the story. This
Okay,
is
let's
page
see.
3 of like page
There's 11 pages.
12. Make that 13. Shall I keep going, gentlemen?
Continue.
Okay. Only Sophie was here. Oliver
Where is
smiled at
Sophie,
that.
anyways?
She's at a comedy show or some crap like that.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Well, whatever it takes to get you to loosen up for once. Plus, I'll cover anything you use to wet your whistle. Just tell the guy behind the counter to put it on Barry's tab. He owes me for...
Okay, so now we're all
we went
ready,
after
and we're gonna
last
start
time.
with the
This time, I'm
gonna start with
positive you
sweeps,
said it with a
and
wink.
then we'll do Force Pulse,
We turned a corner,
then,
and I saw a building in which I
Force
had
Pulse and melee,
no
Force
doubt
Pulse
was
at
a
ranged, and I'll
destination.
go out
The
and
whole
level
place
and
was
view
lit up
weapon,
with
and then we'll
purple
do
neon
elemental
signs
weapon.
promoting
Again, melee and
Horny
then range,
Herman's
and then
here.
figure out which one is best.
Oh, Horny He-Man's
And I have to
here,
remember
or
not
Queer County.
to
You know,
reload
I don't
UI.
think a gay bar would call himself Queer County.
Yeah, I would. I've been doing it.
Multiple more hung up in every
Wait,
place.
Apples, what's that supposed to mean?
I bet Alex is gay. Not that I care. You know, I'm accepting of everyone.
Wow, I don't know, I'm not gay, but
It's okay. Multiple more hung up in every place in that every
Alright,
window.
let's go ahead and get things started.
Place was called the Purple Penthouse, and I could clearly see why. Even the bricks that lined the foundation looked to be a shade of deep purple. Oliver made a sharp turn into an alley beside the building, which led to a hidden parking lot. Hidden as in there was a big beefy guy blocking the way of the entrance, two poles holding the ends of a metal chain that kept us from getting a good parking spot. Oliver slowed down and came to a stop, which signaled the Centaur.
have you seen a fork spray, bottle spray? No.
It's in the kitchen. No way, it's in your room. It's on your dresser, actually. Yes. Which signaled the Centaur, that was the nickname I'd given him, to stride up on top and tap on the window. Oliver, stealing a sly smile at me, pulled down the reflective glass and slid his arm out. With 2 fingers, which held a $50 bill in between them, he tapped the side of his door. Hey, handsome, mind let us in? He tapped his fingers again. The man raised his caterpillar of an eyebrow at Oliver, snatching the 50 out of his hand, and then returned to his post to disconnect the chain. This is expensive ass club, dude. They fell to the ground with a chorus of clanks, and before the centaur could even drag them out of the way, Oliver simply raced over them and waved out at the window at the disapproving looking centaur. Within seconds, we had parked and we were standing in a lot of cars, just as spectacular as Oliver's. The gravel under our feet crunched as I followed Oliver to the back entrance. A metal bolted door covered in new and faded, colorful promotional stickers. Calico cartoon cat hung from a tree saying, "Hang in there. He'll come out eventually." Come, spelled C-U-M, by the way.
God. Jesus.
With a note from the teacher, too much for a school paper.
Just on that one.
Yeah, that's the first time she thought, hey, this may be going too far. Stared back at me as Oliver latched his fingers over the doorknob. Guess those stickers promoting things only gay guys had issues with, including turned off partners. A heavy hand suddenly came down on my shoulder, and I turned to see Oliver pushing me a tad away from him so his eyes could scan me up and down. "Dude, what are you wearing?" he asked, sounding seriously concerned, as if I had some sexometer floating above my head, and my crusty Nintendo t-shirt caused it to drop down to a dangerous red color. I shrugged. My best do not come talk to me outfit. The Sears catalog states it's the newest fad. He simply shook his head and clucked his tongue sadly. Yeah, and no one's shopped at Sears since Christ was crucified. Just try not to be mistaken for some curious high school kid. Hell, they'll probably eat you alive if that happens. You'd be sleeping on your side tonight for being so
yeah,
sore
so
from
I'm not
being mean. I sighed.
very well
Let's just
versed
go
in
all
melee
in.
Magplar.
I
My
reached over
Magplar
and
is,
turned the
well, let me
knob
turn down
myself,
Discord
pushing
real
the
quick.
door open. I'm pretty positive that the door was the wardrobe and I was in Narnia, because never had I seen such insane and extravagant sights. People everywhere, mostly guys, but a few females here and there. Disco balls reflected infinite rays of colorful light.
Okay, so yes, I am testing out the Magplar tonight. Our raid concluded a little bit early. The stream was earlier, so you guys can go back and look at it once it's uploaded. There was a lot of mistakes there, so I decided to come to the PTS to kind of get my mind off it. So we're doing Magplar tonight. Starting off first with melee Magplar with sweeps. And we'll test out Force Pulse, and then we'll do the Sigic Order skill lines. Right now I'm using Acuity and Julianos. I might switch to Burning Spellweave just to see if Burning Spellweave is better than Julianos. I'm not sure on that, just because I'm using Reflective Light here instead of Vampire's Bane, so there's not quite as much uptime on the flame damage sources. But we'll take a look. Because again, I think it's 58% uptime we need in order to beat out Julianos. But yeah, so I'm not very well versed with the melee Magplar compared to like ranged Magplar. So I'm going to do the parse again just to see if I can get higher, and that's just mainly because I don't think I'm very good at melee Magplar with sweeps at least. So I do kind of want to do it again just to give it a better chance. Oh.
Oliver gestured to me and yelled over the blaring music. Give this guy whatever he wants and tell Barry to eat more fruit. The bartender, getting the idea, leaned forward and hollered right into my ear. What you drinking, straight boy? I told him anything flavored and strong.
So this is the first parse here, 34.4. Jesus Beam got kind of a buff, but it's also just because of Bloodthirsty. So I am not sure what to make entirely of this. And of course the light attacks also got buffed too. So just like with the Magicka Warden, Magplars did get a buff, but it's not a buff to Magplar's skills, it is a buff to everybody, really. Oh, I didn't have a.
After that,
I did not
watched
have a
immediately
Mundus for
from
that,
the crowd,
so I do have to
eyes
do it again because I didn't have a
following
Mundus.
the wave came to me,
Whoopsies.
blur of the face and the roaring mass. Spinning back around, I ordered
So
a
yeah.
shot of the signature drink, the purple pen.
So any buffs to Magplars are coming from
Spoke up, "Careful, this one's
universal
strong.
buffs
It'll
to
make you
Magicka
stupid."
DPS. There weren't
Even
any
math.
specific changes to
Some people say it
Magplars
even gives you
themselves
sixth sense to be
that
able
like
to
buffed
predict
anything.
things in
So
the future.
what we're seeing here is just basically the result of light attacks and bloodthirsty as your jewelry traits. Brandon, I don't want to use spinners because that's not something that I would normally use in a trials. So my philosophy behind doing parses is always to do them as if you were, you know, using raid CPs, using raid gear. So I don't like using spinners for parses because it's not really something you would be wearing in a raid. Generally speaking, you'd be doing something like Giuliano Security in this case, or like if you're on live right now, Acuity and 4-piece Moon Dancer or something. So that's kind of why I'm not going to be using spinners, just because it's not something you'd be wearing to event trial. Now, if you're doing something like 4-man dungeons, then maybe you can use spinners, because that's something that you could potentially use depending on what your tank is wearing. But Magicka DPS, generally speaking, since light armor does have that about 5k additional debuff from the light armor passive, you don't really need like spinners or anything to hit penetration cap in an organized group.
You just look so lonely over here, all alone. This man just whispered into this blazing infernal screams and pumping music, and for some reason I was able to understand him completely. I looked behind me, confused if this guy was really talking to me or not. We were the only ones at the bar, other than the couple of guys that we were more interested in what the other guy's mouth tasted in the drinks in front of me. So I turned back to the dude in front of me, who, might I say, was pretty dashing. Like, I'm definitely not gay or anything, but in a way that girls call other girls cute, this guy is not. All the proportions of his face,
I might try Acuity Master Architect next.
the man was practically doing perfection. His hair was slicked back, but not like enough that it made me put too much grease on it.
I would have to put sweeps on the back bar just because I do need to keep the Destro Staff ulti on the front bar here.
I know I personally don't since I'm too long and spending with this guy. It was like the suit was made while it was on his body. It fit him better than any suit I'd seen on all of it. I guess I must have been staring at him for too long because they gave me soft and just like, what, do I have glue in my teeth or something? He asked. No, your teeth are literally perfect. No, your teeth are literally perfect, I replied. Oh shoot, did I just say that out loud? Oh shoot, did I just say that out loud? Shit. The guy before me drew back and kicking and laughing, and then scooted himself closer. And for some reason, I barely noticed or just didn't think. He smiled, his teeth a pristine white and straighter than a pencil. Is this the first time you visited my establishment? I don't think I've seen you around, he questioned. Rose his hand for a drink, which was automatically supplied me by Parse. I raised an eyebrow and reached for my own shop, which had also been refilled at some time. Your establishment, you own this place? I answered, surprised at the fact I was now so nice to be owner of a single gay bar I had ever visited on my first trip. Usually the owners of bars don't come out of the private areas of the facility until after close, which was just a known fact. But here, this guy was claiming to be the owner of a magical penthouse. He nodded and drank some of
Yeah,
his
so
drink, which was
one of the things there, for example, is what do I do in that scenario? What do I prioritize?
yes, I am indeed the owner, and I know what you are thinking. Who sees the owners of the Pokemon? Well, I'm a little different from others. I enjoy visiting with the guests. You said he leaned over me, pouring another shot towards my hand. Damn, poor Barry. His cab is going to be loaded. I took the drink and with a quick glance at my head back and let it all pony down like burning bread.
Oh, I was an execute. I should have been using JV.
The athlete taste on that one tasted really different, but at that point, booze is booze, and I wasn't the man who's only
Okay, so that one was a lot better. I think that was just because I got a little bit more, kind of got to get back into the feel of things. Also, I had a Mundus this time, so 37.5, which isn't actually that bad. That's about 2.5 below no. It's about 3k, 3 to 4k below what I pulled with a Mag DK on PTS.
not the usual attire for a gay bar, am I right? You're not looking for an action tonight, I suppose.
I don't remember what I pull out of melee Magblade or Mag Decay. No, Mag Decay. God damn it, Magplar. I'm not. I don't remember what I normally pull on the melee Magplar on live right now, but this is definitely a buff. And again, it's because of light attacks and bloodthirsty. I did not execute correctly, so I only got 3 J-beams off instead of what I should have been. But so this could be a little bit better. So yeah, I'm gonna try what Buck recommended, which is a QED Master Architect. Now, if I'm doing Master Architect, it's gonna be on the body, and sweeps will be on the back bar. VMA Ice Staff is not. I wouldn't use it. I think. I personally wouldn't use it. That being said, an off-trait VMA staff like Inferno Lightning is always going to be better than any random back bar staff. The problem with the Ice Staff is you're not getting any sort of utility out of using Ice Blockade instead of Storm Blockade or Fire Blockade. So you might be better off doing like a random Lightning or random Inferno staff. I would probably try it out. The other danger too with using an Ice Staff back bar is you have to remember you can't heavy attack while you're on your back bar. So you always have to remember to heavy attack on your front bar. And that is kind of a limitation in and of itself. So I personally would not use the Ice Staff back bar. But I do think technically it is going to be a DPS increase compared to what you're currently running. Like on average, it won't be as big as an Inferno or Lightning Staff obviously, but you'll see like a maybe 1k increase, but you do have to remember to heavy attack on your front bar instead of your back bar so you don't accidentally taunt the boss, you know, in a dungeon or trial. Okay, now I have to get a Master Architect out from over here.
I tried to move, push him off, but my limbs wouldn't move. They just felt so heavy.
I actually don't know if you guys can still hear what's going on in Discord, but Sir Applesauce is actually still reading that his sister's school project. I'm not sure if you can hear it over the music.
Rolled over to catch the shiny end of a needle being inserted into my vein. After he finished, he got up and walked over to this other side of the room. I strained to move my head into the position of which I knew he was, and with some considerable effort, I was able to lull my head to the other side and watch as he busied himself.
Yeah, no heavy attacks is that taught. The other thing you could do is just not use the passive, but the passive itself is really important to have as a DPS. So, you know, if you're able to control it, then yeah.
You may have even doubted your sexuality at one point.
I'm not sure if you guys want to hear it or not. I'll turn Discord up a little bit so you guys can hear. I'm muted on Discord, so they won't be able to hear me.
Why? What are you going to do? Why did you give me 10 medications? He shrugged. It's quite simple, actually.
Okay, so I'm just gonna start off with a Destro ult.
He waved his hands in the air slowly, of course, which is
the one thing I don't like, and this is true for Nightblades as well, the one thing I don't like about Acuity and Master Architect is that for trash pulls, you're gonna have to swap with something else, because your ultimates are pretty much going to be single target.
I'm not reading.
Templars won't be as bad because I think Sweeps does have a little bit of AoE, but if you're like a Nightblade, Magical Nightblade using Master Architect, then you're limited because in cap is a single target thing. So that's why if you can use like a QED Master Architect, but then you also have to remember you need to have a different setup for trash pulls, potentially.
Somebody, for fuck's sake, can you hear me? I managed to croak out, but it didn't sound loud enough.
Yeah, so click to select. If you look me up, yeah, it is Justin. That's my first name. I mean, it's the age of the internet, and it's pretty easy to find information on people. So I'm not terribly afraid to tell you guys my name, but like think other things like where I live and stuff like that. If you guys really are interested, you probably could find it somewhere. But it's up to you if you really want to do that or not. I try to keep track of what I'm doing in terms of privacy, but it's hard to keep track of things, especially when Google and Facebook and everything are kind of mining our data for us. In terms of maxing out all of our jewelry traits, there is something on UESP. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. That kind of explains, let me see, no. So UESP actually has like a chart that'll tell you how long it takes for you to research all the traits on something. So let me see if I can find it.
With a single stride, he was near my side again and lifted a leg over the bed, and then the other straddling.
Then let me swap over to.
Held the knife up and slowly brought it closest to my chest. He leaned and he whispered,
Swap it over here. Nope, don't want to hit that. Okay.
The knife plunged
so here's the timer on UESP, and so they have it both with ESO Plus and without ESO Plus, as well as what rank you have on the timing thing. So under the jewelry crafting skill line, you can have up to stage level 4. So it will not let you research multiple things though. So if you level this up, you can see it just decreases the research time by a certain percentage point. And so if you do not have ESO Plus, but you do have Summerset, and you have level 4 in Magplar research, then it'll take you 77 days, 19 hours, 30 minutes to research everything. If you do have ESO Plus, you basically manage to lose a week, just over a week, so 70 days and 45 minutes. Now this isn't going to be exactly accurate. This is assuming that you're starting all your research at rank 4, which probably isn't going to be the case. You might start like the first one at like base level, and then you level it up, and so on and so forth. So it's probably going to end up being a little bit more than 70 days, which if you work it out is about 2.5 months. And of course this isn't also considering things like, let me swap back to ESO, this isn't in considering things like the instant research stuff. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
I mean, it was well written.
Yeah. Congratulations for turning that in and not getting suspended.
Exactly.
It's only because like I'm her favorite student.
I'm still streaming, and they like heard bits and pieces of that as I turned down Discord, and one of them was like, "You may have even doubted your sexuality at some point. What a time to turn up in that guy on Discord."
There were some parts that like even I was uncomfortable with writing, but I was like, no, I must do this.
Alright.
Be true to the art.
I was like, oh god. I didn't really usually write about homophobic people or kind of the first place. Oh god.
Well, you just did read like your sister's high school version of a thesis, so.
Yeah, jeez.
I pulled that into college and like, who it was.
And I was basically like, that monotone voice of mine was my CA voice at work when I have to say stuff. That's how I talk all fucking day.
Like, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we type in curses stuff, but like it's like, yeah. Like they were the other day, this guy was like, fuck, come dumpster, fuck, and I'm sitting there like.
Are you actually typing all of that as he's saying it?
Yeah, I have to. Mama Sophie angry.
I don't know if he's angry. I haven't read officer chat yet.
Hmm?
Okay, so that was Acuity, Master Architect, and I did actually realize like halfway through that I didn't put a health enchant, so it's not entirely accurate, but I think swapping out that health enchant for magic enchant for a health enchant shouldn't make that big of a difference. So we're looking at 38.5, which is actually pretty decent. Doesn't quite match up with the Magplar, so we're going to try to play around a little bit with different things to try to make this a little bit better. Now, one of the things I did try, or I did have, I should say, on my jewelry was I had 2 spell damage and 1 magic regen, but our sustain was fine, so I think I'm going to change out that regen for a spell damage, see if I can break 39. So the goal, for me at least, is going to be trying to get up to 40k on the melee Magplar using sweeps. So we'll see how that goes. Oops. Let me use the... Okay, so yeah, I was using a magic regen glyph, so I'm going to change that now to a magic harm glyph to see if that changes anything.
Alright. Yeah, I guess I'll get this started now. Night, everyone.
See ya, guys.
I'm gonna go cry in a corner over tonight's.
Don't do that, Griever! Alright, I'm going to stay in here in case Sophie logs on and wants to talk about it, so...
Yeah.
Let me know because I will legit come back just to hear that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Alright, see you guys.
See ya. Okay, so yeah, so now this was a regen glyph, now we're going with the spell damage glyph. Everything else is going to stay the same. I guess for, just for actual like in-raid comparisons, I'll actually use a health glyph on something. Because I would not actually be running 14.5 health in an actual raid. Oh wait, I know what I have to do. I'm running 7 light, that's why. I gotta swap these out. Let's do that. Now I just need to do a Magicka glyph on the shoulders. Magicka. Good night, Brandon. Have a good night. So there we go. That's better. 16.5 is what we want. So see, our Magicka didn't really change that much. Okay, so let's try... I feel like this is probably going to be the best setup, Acuity with Architect, and I'm not sure what other thing I can do to bump us up, besides obviously putting more points into penetration, but if you're running with Alkosh and Torogs, or just any crusher, this is about how many points you want to put in there. So I think I did update... Yes, I did update this, okay. So if we change this to 19.2, let me see if there's anything here that I need to... Okay, so everything's fine here. Let's try optimizing our CP. So we'd only see an increase of like 0.005. That's not really enough to justify. Because you also have to remember that if you're going to use constellations to figure out CPs right now, it's going to tell you to put a lot of points into staff expert. Balance changes are upcoming in next Monday's patch, so I'm not going to be doing this right now. At least I won't be doing this particular configuration because they might change. They might change how line attack's damage works. Because right now it's basically telling me take points out of mastered arms, put them into staff expert. So I'm not sure if that's what I want to do. Plus the difference, the new metric isn't that much higher, so I'll just stick with this CP distribution. Yeah. I did actually start making a website using WordPress, but I haven't had enough time to work on it. I mean, between finals, between classes, between my research stuff, because I've been kept pretty busy this semester with research and completing my master's thesis. But I do have it in the works. I do have like the domain name and everything. I just have to actually start writing it up, like all the builds. I have a couple of builds up already, but not all of them. No, I'm still running the Magplar. We're just trying to figure out what to use now. Master Architect is very good on, basically it's only good on 2 different classes. It's good on Magicka Templars and Magicka Nightblades. Oh, and I guess Magicka Wardens as well, if you're able to use the Bear as a Magicka Warden. So on those 3 classes, Master Architect is very powerful. And, the problem with running Master Architect on, at the very least, Magplar and Mag Nightblade is you have to be at melee range. And right now, all stamina and DPS on live are pulling higher than melee Magblades and melee Magplars, so you're not going to be seeing it being used on ranged Magplars and ranged Nightblades, because you'll be primarily using the Shooting Star or the Destro ult. Oh jeez. We had a little bit of a lag spike there, so I'll just let it reset itself real quick, and then I'll just re-update it. But yeah, so Master Architect is very good. I would highly recommend, if you are running a Nightblade, a Templar, or a Warden Magicka DPS, to try to get a set of Master Architect. Yeah. If you ever want to reset a dummy, you can just put it away and then put it back down. Because like you had a lag spike or something at the beginning of a parse or something. Let me see if there's anything I can improve on that other parse. Probably improve the amount of force, 90%. I can probably try to get this up to 95, maybe even 100. I might be able to get higher Major Slayer uptime if instead of going through my back bar I start with a sweeps. But that'll be something to try out. Actually, yeah, let's do that. Because I know on a Nightblade you're able to get around 40%, 45% uptime on Major Slayer. Yeah, I didn't take into consideration that you probably are going to be casting your Soul Harvest before a cripple, so you still have kind of a priority on a Mag Nightblade. So let me see if I can get... would Elfbane work? Elfbane, so Elfbane affects fire damage abilities. So it doesn't actually affect that many abilities on in a Magplar's rotation. So it basically affects reflective light, your blockade, and that's basically it. So Elfplane actually wouldn't, and Zon if you're using Zon. So it's not quite as strong as like on a Mag Decay, where basically all their abilities are flame damage. Let me try this. Yes, Taco, that is the Nier Automata OST. Okay, so 38-1. There's a little bit of lag towards the end there, but I don't think that would have affected it too much. So it does seem like this is kind of where I'm plateauing, which is around 38.5, because the one we had was 38.4, and we had 37.5. This was with Julianos, Julianos and Acuity. So it seems like I'm plateauing probably around 38k or something like that. I'm sure somebody who's better at a melee Magplar could probably do better. So yeah, see, my Slayer was a little bit better that time compared to this one here, but the regen versus drain was a little bit worse. Yeah, it was about, it was pretty worse. But it didn't feel like I had any sort of sustain issues, at least on a 6 mil. Okay, I think it's back on. OBS has been really stupid lately. It's, who completed it? Smith guy. OBS has kind of been like disconnecting and connecting recently. I'm not sure what's going on with it. It might be the fact that I'm using a VPN because I can't log into the goddamn game without using a VPN. But yeah, it looks like Acuity Master Architect is probably going to be the best option here with Zon. Architect on your body here. Now, let's try swapping sweeps out. No, I don't think it'll work. But we can try it. So let's try swapping sweeps out with Force Pulse, which would mean we'd have to put sweeps back here, and then we can put something like the Destro ult back here, and we'll play at range, or not at range. We'll start with melee first. So we'll be at melee range, so we can keep on using Master Architect, and then we'll keep on using Acuity, and then we'll pull out a Perfected Asylum Staff and see how that compares. If I remember correctly from our Sork tests, the Perfected Asylum still won out compared to like a 5.5.2 setup on a Sork, so I'm not sure if that's going to be the same case here on a Magplar. So we'll see if this works out. So our sustain's definitely going to be a lot worse because we're using Force Pulse instead of sweeps. Force Pulse here, 23-22, sweeps here. So actually sweeps is a little bit more expensive. But it's also a channel, so you're not able to get as many sweeps out compared to Force Pulses, because Force Pulse is an instant cast. So you're able to get a lot more Force Pulses out in a given time frame compared to sweeps. So in the end, sweeps is actually better for sustain compared to Force Pulse. So sweeps has like, I think it's a little over 1 second cast channel time, so it actually eats up 2 global cooldowns instead of 1 like Force Pulse does. So that's why sweeps is a little bit better for sustain. So to anticipate the change in sustain, let's use a regen glyph on one of our jewelry pieces instead of 3 spell damage. I'll do that instead. See if that helps out at all. So let's go ahead and try this. So this is Force Pulse 552. You can already see that the sustain is noticeably worse compared to using sweeps. But it does seem like our DPS is better, but we haven't had heavy attack yet. Once we start heavy attacking, we're going to see that DPS start going down. Yeah, see here, this is where we're going to start seeing the DPS going down, because we now have to start heavy attacking. Start J-beaming here. Doesn't seem like it's actually that much different. So we got 38-1 still again with Force Pulse. Regen versus Drain seems pretty comparable compared to using sweeps. We did have the heavy attack. How many times? I think twice? Once? Once. So I think on a longer fight you're definitely going to start feeling the sustain burn here using Force Pulse, but it's actually not that bad compared to sweeps, which is here. Let's see, Major Slayer uptime is about the same, Acuity uptime about the same. Minor Force 92, this here was 86, so you know, seems like Force Pulse isn't that bad of a choice if you want to use a spam ball in melee range. So let's try that now with, oh, I don't want a jelly jewelry, I want willpower jewelry. And try it now with 3 willpower and no, where is it? Perfected Asylum, Inferno Staff. That way we get the extra proc from the Asylum Staff proc. Oh, I have to. So we'll keep we'll keep Architect and Zahn. We'll swap out Acuity for 3 willpower and the Asylum's Inferno. We'll do again. We'll do 1 regen, 2 spell damage, and then Flame Glyph as our damage glyph on the front bar. And we'll see how that all works out. let's see how this works. We'll start off with a Destro ult like we always do. His stats typically stronger compared to the sweeps. So yeah, it doesn't seem like Magplar got quite as strong of a buff compared to DKs and Nightblades. But they did get a pretty nice buff nonetheless. 38k is definitely a pretty big increase compared to what live is. I think live is probably, if I had to guess at what I could pull, probably like 31, 32 melee Magplar. So pretty good. There we go. Okay, let's try this again, this time with the Asylum front bar. So yes, you do have access to everything in the game if you are on the PTS, so you just have to create a template character. So you can't just log in on like your main tune and get everything. You actually have to go create a template character. So basically you create a new character and there's going to be a drop down the upper left hand side of the screen. You drop it down, you hit Summerset, and then you just create a character, and it'll all be in the coffers that you see like in this inventory here. So you have all things here. You have Asylum, you have arena sets, battleground sets. You have pretty much every set in the game. You also have infinite crafting items. You just open these and you can just pull what you need and it'll infinitely respawn itself. And you also have infinite amounts of transmute crystals. And the only thing that you do not get on the PTS on the template are going to be the Cyrodiil PvP set. So Elfbane, for example, they don't give you that set. You're going to actually have to go out and buy it with AP. But the good thing is they do give you like 1 billion of pretty much every single currency. You get 2 million AP, 1 billion gold, and 1 billion Telvar. So you can't just go out right out to those cities and just buy the random stuff and just farm it. And since you have transmute crystals up the wazoo, you can just transmute everything. So that's how I got Elfbane on my mag DK previous last week. Let's try this again. Yeah, so click to select. A lot of your DPS is going to be coming from rotation. While gear does make a difference, it's not going to be like you're going to suddenly pull like 5k higher DPS because you have like, you know, your Moon Dancer stuff. So tightening up your rotation is probably the best thing you can do to improve your DPS, and that's what I generally tell people. Don't worry about gear, just worry about your rotation. Gear can always come later, and it's always going to change based on like the balance patches. So better to just work on your rotation, because that usually won't change too much unless they like massively nerf or massively buff a skill or something, which they have done in the past. It does seem like losing acuity really hurt us. Yeah, so like losing acuity really hurt us here, even though we had. Although, oh, that's weird. Something is weird here. We're not getting the procs, it seems. So we had 34 force pulses, so we should have 17. Oh, nope, no, we did have all. Okay. I was just wondering, because that's really low. That's actually really low for a perfected staff parse, but we only did 34 force pulses, so I mean every other would be 17, and we had 17 procs of minor vulnerability, and so I'm not using a shock lift, so doing it right. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I did not trait change to jewelry. That's what happened. So that was actually with arcane jewelry instead of bloodthirsty. So we want an actual like accurate comparison. We do bloodthirsty. That's my mistake, but yeah. I've been meaning. That reminds me. I've been meaning to make a video on infused versus arcane. I do have parses on some of my beginner DPS builds on my build playlists. I have like a beginner Magicka build guide. I don't think I have any parses though. I actually don't think I have parses, so I can actually, yeah, I can do a parse with Julianus and willpower. But like you can just replace architect with like acuity, and it'd be just as good. Yeah, I can do a quick parse with Julie, willpower, and just like Grothdar and like basic like random staves, just to get an idea of what you're able to pull with a good rotation. Okay, so let's do this again, this time with Bloodthirsty, and let's see if we pull higher. There we go. Hello, Momo. How's it going tonight? I actually don't know if it's night over there where you guys are. It's night over here on the east coast of the US. Oh, Stain feels a lot worse without that arcane jewelry. Oh, my resources. This is painful. That's the stain is real painful. it's not a problem. Click to select. I don't mind answering questions. One thing I really wish was I wish I had people that would answer questions. So that time with Bloodthirsty we got 38. My sustain felt a little bit worse there. I probably could have heavy attacked once. But yeah. Okay, so the Asylum Staff is working as intended. So 32 casts, 15 procs. And I do know there's currently a bug where if I bar swap out of the proc, it won't count. So that's about right. So moral of the story is, on a Magplar at least, might as well just go with Acuity. Don't even bother with getting that Asylum Staff. So yeah. Just gonna type out something to somebody in Discord real quick. West Coast Momo. I wish I was on the West Coast right now. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't seem like the Perfected Asylum Staff is actually any better than just running Acuity. So just go with Acuity, stick with Acuity. So Acuity, my Master Architect, is probably going to be best in slot for melee Magplars at least. So let's see here. There's another set I can try. Try the new Perfected Light Armor set instead of Acuity? I can try that. I'm not sure if it'll be any good. They did say, by the way, for those of you guys who are kind of underwhelmed by the difference between the normal and perfected version, that they are going to try to rebalance this so it's a little bit better, so it's more, there's more incentive to actually use it. I'm not sure what that means, whether it's going to be like a completely new effect or they're just going to like make the increase in damage a lot better. But we'll try it out. I think you said instead of Acuity, right? Or yeah, instead of Acuity. I'm thinking, yeah, because the question now is like, if you want to swap between Acuity or Master Architect, which do you choose? Do you give up the crit chance or do you give up the Major Slayer proc? I'd probably end up giving Acuity. I haven't tried ranged yet. I'm just trying to work out melee right now, so that's kind of my goal for right now. I think after this I will swap over to a melee setup. And melee, I will have to go out and level up Elemental Weapon, which should be pretty quick. It'll probably just be like 1 or 2 ad pulls on like Craglorn or something, and I'll have that ready to morph. And then we'll try out Force Pulse versus the new Ellie Weapon. I think Ellie Weapon's going to win out, just based on what I've seen. Ellie Weapon is pretty strong, to say the least. I don't think I've actually used the new trial set yet. I've always been kind of leery of sets like these. So that's kind of why I never was a fan of these kind of sets. There's some more transmute crystals because I believe I'm out. There we go. Where is it? Okay. I think this set is going to be really, really hard to find. Just based on my experiences in Cloud Rush right now. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the Cloud Rush streams that I've had, but at least in the Mayflower streams, we haven't gotten past normal vet yet. The Zamaja fight's actually getting us. Last night was mainly because of lag issues. PTS was not cooperating in that trial for me for whatever reason. But we have the general idea down. It's just a matter of executing it. Then enchants, flame, and then we'll stick with 1 regen, 2 spell damage just to keep it consistent.
Hello.
Hey, Sophie.
Hey, it's Sophie. Sophie's back, so I will be talking with her
Hello?
about the raid.
How are you?
Yeah. That run was horrible.
Hi, Sophie.
Hi. Well, let's get down to the bottom of it.
Okay.
People are shit.
Like who's shit though?
Everybody. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
I got my notepad out. Give some names.
Extreme was bad,
Really?
but is new, so I don't know.
Like,
Yeah.
has he
Yeah.
run Maw with us before?
No, that was his first time running Maw with us.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I don't know how
Did he do okay on Sahasa?
he was fine with everything else. I just
Yeah. Just the twin strategy.
yeah, I think that's, I don't know if he did Maw before, but I know our strat's very different from everybody else's strat, so
Yeah.
I'm giving him benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Because he's usually pretty good with everything else. What else happened?
Let's see. Instead of just random people dying, just stupid shit. The color swap was pretty shitty.
I'm just gonna, there we go,
Like
okay.
the 3 color swap things?
Yeah.
Why people just weren't going?
People were running. Well, the dark group that switches to light runs clockwise, and the light side that's going dark, they're trying to get them to the center. That way,
Alright, so that was with Sororia. It's actually had a much better uptime than I thought it would. It's actually not that bad either compared to Acuity. I know they said they're going to change it for the perfected version at least, so it's actually a lot better than I thought it would be. But, I mean, technically Acuity is still better and easier to obtain. But, yeah, it's actually not that bad. Like, the proc, it says here, did about as much damage as Zon, a little bit less, so pretty impressed. Pretty impressive. So I'm going to swap over to a ranged Magplar build so we can figure out what's best in slot there.
Because he originally wanted to, like, if that was true, I ended up doing it for an hour, but by the time they put it together.
So I'm going to start off with probably Acuity, and so for a ranged Magplar we can't really use Architect, well I guess we could, because we can do it basically like the Nightblade. We just run in melee range, do our sweeps, and then run out. But I want to try to go with pure ranged, so maybe I'll swap out the. I think I'll do. God. I want to keep Acuity, but I'm not sure what the other piece should be. It's either going to be Burning Spellweave or Julianos. Let's try with Burning Spellweave first, and then with Acuity, and then we'll see if Julianos is better.
What else was it? It was people running through negates. It was people not.
People run through the gates, blowing each other up. Not bashing.
People need to do mechanics. It's basically what it boils down to.
Yeah, it's just the simple mechanics. The mechanics being done over and over and over.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like we've done this how many times?
And the resing was really slow to turn out.
Yeah.
Type stupid stuff. Usually they wouldn't get up until color swap. And then we had, off-balance colors, and then, be in weird locations. Do some stuff in there.
It honestly looked like we have never done twins before. That's how it looked.
Like we're trying to like make a name for ourselves in this like end game stuff, and then shit like this happens. Like really, guys?
I mean, to be fair, every trial group has off days. Maybe today was an off day. Maybe.
It's all.
But the thing that I'm sure that they told you, the thing that pisses me off the most was Colt and Fatbase.
Yeah, because everyone else, like,
Sticking with it.
I actually didn't think about that, Momo. I might, if I have time tonight, because I don't have that much time on the PTS, because I do want to get some sleep so I have a lot of finals work to do, but I can try that out with Elfbane. I don't know if Elfbane actually affects other sets. I know it affects Zon, but I'm not sure if it affects anything else. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. Especially when it's hard enough to get a full group together in the first place.
yeah, and we
And Bell in the middle is just.
yeah, exactly. We already, I legitimately think
That's fine.
he seemed pretty upset. I tried to sorry together.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of rage quit in Discord, so
Yeah.
he did seem like he was mad. So
Oh wait, sorry, who was this?
Stixis.
Oh. I mean, you don't log in at raid time, you log in 10 minutes before. And that was even, he was trying to log in 10 minutes before too, so. I don't know. Maybe my standards are too high.
So with that base and cult, like I don't know. I think
The cold, I don't know. Fat base,
Yeah.
but annoys me the most.
yeah.
So for this parse, I'm going to be doing inner light, but normally I'd actually be using something like accelerate. There's a morph of accelerate that gives us 36 seconds of minor force. That's what I would actually put in here instead of inner light, but this isn't leveled. As you can see here, I'd have to actually level it, so don't have the patience to do it. This is about like 4 times as long as imbue weapon, I think. Let me see. Yeah, so it's about 10 times as long as 10 times as much experience as imbue weapon. So I don't want to use this because I'll have to recast it so often. It's going to be a big sustain drain. But I'll try it out. Hopefully next week they'll give us the Psijic order lines fully leveled so we can actually properly test these skills out. For right now, I'm just going to stick with inner light.
He's been more like that ever since.
I think the thing is with Fat Base is that he's expecting a certain thing and he's not getting it out of us. And I'm like, sorry dude, like...
Well, he's not helping.
Yeah, like first of all, if you want to get like sub 45-minute mall runs, you have to contribute. And we're not mechanically challenged. So, I don't know.
I don't know. Like, what do you guys think about that? Honestly, I think it's by message.
You don't want me messaging him.
Like, I don't know. I was kind of giving you the benefit of the doubt before, but at this point, I don't care. Like, at this point, I'm just like, if everyone who's a piece of shit and let's get some new people in that actually care and, you know, enjoy it and are positive and go. You know. Yeah, you can be the one negative Nancy. I'll do that. Like, you need to say something, even if you were expecting it, like, people are psychic, you know, you have to, like, communicate that. Not true, yeah. So you the opener guy, his name was like, remember, that he was doing a spit.
Yeah, Momo, I was talking about the ranged trap morph, the ranged minor force. I want to get it, but I'm also really lazy and don't want to level it up because that's more than just 2 ad pulls in Craglorn. That's like running like 2 or 3 circuits around Spellscar. I don't want to do that. Yeah, so click to select. Yeah, we base our things off of the East Coast time, so I don't know what the time difference is. I know like here to Taiwan is 13 hours, So I'd imagine Australia's probably around there. I don't know. I'm not good with time zones. But yeah, this is ranged Magplar, Burning Spell Weave, and Acuity.
It's just like, and that guy's my priest or something like that.
Burning Spell Weave, 62% uptime. That's pretty good considering our max uptime on Burning Spell Weave is normally around 66, or theoretical max is 66. So it does seem like Burning Spell Weave will end up performing better than Julianos.
Are you telling him, well, the people should have been familiar with
Julianos is, I think it's 58% is the cutoff for Burning Spell Weave being equal to Julianos. So with 62% uptime, I mean, you'd have to do a little bit more parses because there is an RNG factor involved with Burning Spell Weave. But this is promising. I think Burning Spell Weave is pretty strong. I would like to test out Moon Dancer, but I don't have anybody who can give me synergies right now. So just trying to think what other sets we can potentially run instead of Burning Spell Weave. Gonna try the new trial set, since I was actually pretty impressed with what it did last time. So let's try out the new trial set. Got 35.9. So we'll try out the new trial set, and then we'll try Acuity on body, and then we'll try 3 willpower and the Perfected Asylum again and see what that pulls. So 2 more tests. We'll do Acuity with the new trial set perfected version, then we'll do Acuity with 3 willpower and the Perfected Asylum staff, and we'll see which one of those work. Oh, and then we will also try out Elemental Weapon. Oops.
Yeah, at 7:30, or no, 7:30, which would be 9:30 your time. He's like, anything happen tonight? Is he even in our age tonight? I don't know, I'm suspicious.
Find me a good tank, please.
I don't know how to find one.
It's not that I don't like tanking, it's just that I want to do something else for a change.
Yeah, and of course. Like, that's why I started healing, was because he's guessing. Like, and it sucks to have to do.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to switch up.
Yeah. Poor Amaterial, he's always stuck taking.
Right? Don't you like want to switch it up on the cereal?
Like, last week or something.
Cereal doesn't
Like,
have a PTS.
Kaden, Magplar's doing pretty well right now. Not quite as good as Mag DK in terms of melee Magplar. Let me show you the parses.
We're trying.
It's tough too, and I mean, like,
So these parses here were all melee Magplars. So 38-1, 38-1, 36-8, 38 flat. Those are all different combinations of melee sets. And so melee Magplar's doing pretty well. This 37-7 is also a melee Magplar. So melee Magplar's doing pretty well, but it's being beat out by Mag DKs. So, you know, it is what it is. I do think a better Magplar would probably pull better than I can. I'm not very good at Magplar.
Like a set rocket guy, but he's like, needs a lot of work.
Just gotta work the muscle.
Are your nipples hard for the drama?
they already were from.
Oh, you missed the gay porno.
What?
So I don't know. I don't know how any of this is like so yeah, we're all in officer chat. Like Alex wants.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna try the new trial set just because I was actually pretty impressed with it. Then we'll do 5 acuity,
We're all like
and the two Zod, and VMA Inferno, obviously. So we'll see what this does. We'll see. If you don't do it, I will. I was controlling myself. I want the disappointed dad route instead. Okay, so using the perfect Sororia set, dropped about 1.4k, so I'd probably still go with Burning Spell Weave on a ranged Magplar. Stand Blades keeping the same builds. You can go with War Machine or a VO and Acuity, but you will not be using the Warrior. You'll be using the Lover in that instance. My best Stand Blade parse was with War Machine and Acuity, using the Lover. Other Stand Blades that I've been talking to have kind of gone back and forth, so you could really go with like the Warrior, Twice Fang Snake and Acuity, or Lover, War Machine Acuity. Both pull pretty much like neck to neck on 6 million W parses. I haven't done it in a raid yet, so I'm not sure what it's going to look like in an actual raid. Sorry, I'm just looking at Discord for having a heated discussion over here. Warden pulls higher than Magplar at Magdecan life. Yeah, Warden's actually not that bad if you're using the bear. The problem is without the bear, you lose a lot of DPS. So yeah, that's the that's the big problem. And Momo, if they buff Sororia, it might be viable. Yeah, it just depends on how they buff it. So I did hear they were thinking about buffing it, or at least changing it. Is their proper word, changing, not buffing. So it's more attractive, but we'll see.
It's been working great so far. Tonight was just
I don't know. I like doing the old way, but our way is also has its strengths as well. But one of the people that I pulled in from Mayflower did make a comment that if people are dying like they were tonight, our method is gonna suck. Like it's just really really bad. So.
Well, the thing with that method is it's really well if people know exactly what they're doing, and if they don't, then it really sucks.
Right. So the other method, on the other hand, requires people to actually pay attention to where their name gets called out. Well, the other method is you stay on the boss, and yeah, and if the healers, so like if the healer gets, if both healers end up on the same side, one of the healers just calls out a DPS's name. You swap during that phase when we reset. So instead of instead of 3 people going across, it's just 2. Or 6 people, I should say. It's just 2 people going across. That's what most guilds do. Not every guild does it, but that's the most common one that I've seen.
A little bit faster too.
Yeah, it's a little bit faster.
Do you guys? Either way, it shouldn't have been that. It shouldn't have been that shitty.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like
Alright, I'm gonna go level elemental weapon. That should only be like 2 or 3 ad pulls in Craglorn, and then I'll try that as a range for Magplar. And then we'll go back after we test out elemental weapon. We'll try out force pulse with the perfected asylum.
For a long time with Shogunate, and then other guilds did it the other way, and it like
But
it
Shogun,
takes a minute to what?
Shogunate's, well, I don't know if they have. I don't know if they've ever gone back to Maw actually.
Yeah. But they were doing it the reset way, which I did for a long time. And then I think with other guilds the regular way, it takes a minute to like switch your brain. It's not that bad. I mean, as a DPS, unless your name is wrong. No, that wasn't the reason. It just maybe wasn't helping me switch over and I thought extra defensive was something.
people got res eventually. At least from my side, like people were dead. And even like fashion and stuff
This won't do. This just won't do at all.
yeah, definitely. We didn't kill them.
Agent, do you want to rate or post, or should
I don't know if I'm the right person to write the post, if that makes any sense. Because, yeah, because I don't want to come off as an like elitist scumbag, right?
I do think generally speaking there's trends.
No, click to select. These are, they give you 5,500 crowns each day. Everything in a crown store is 1 crown.
Oh my god, it's Deepsy's channel.
Yeah, basically. Live. Higher tier wants to mess up. I do better with feedback about it. Doesn't care then.
Asian, you're not still streaming this, are you?
It's turned down a lot. I don't think people can hear. Honestly, I don't care if they hear it because it's something they're gonna have to get used to.
Yeah, Nephis is streaming his master angler.
Wait, really?
Why would anyone watch that?
Quality stream right there.
Well, to be fair, some people watch like actual people actually fishing. God knows why.
Yeah. True.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't care if they're watching this stream because to me, if you fully intend on being an endgame like raider, like you want to do VMAW, you want to do like Hoff or stuff, like you should know this. I shouldn't have to tell you this. And maybe that's just me with very high standards, but if you intend on going to Solomon Gomorrah or any sort of raiding guild, they're gonna expect this from you. And if you're not able to deliver, I mean, it is what it is. I don't sugarcoat shit.
I'm more willing to be patient with people for a while. I see that it's not big changes. More people with this. I'm more annoyed with that one. I can't devote the time, and even if I did, I probably would never be that good.
Yeah.
Have to kind of just accept where they are.
You're trash. You were born trash.
Okay, let's not pull any Nephises here.
But like if people are improving and it's working, I have significant patience for them. But if it's not working for whatever reason, like because of effort or because their vision is considered poorly done, like you can't expect other people to be patient forever.
Yeah, I don't know about this other one. Score team.
He's gonna be so
He'd leave for sure, I think.
but it's just, like, yeah, it's tough. It's just for somebody who's run all this stuff so much. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's actually terrible.
It's Friday. I haven't completed a trial.
Yeah, that's That's the big thing for me, Black Mamba. People don't show up on time. That's my pet peeve. Or people have to leave early and don't give you advance warning. That's another pet. I have a lot of pet peeves with like raiding, and I don't know if it's because I have very high standards or it's because I run with like a very very good raiding guild like Mayflower.
Get apples his skin.
So I don't know.
Who's not coming?
I think every raid guild, like Hellfire, probably goes through these problems at some point. There was another guild that I was in Shogunate before I left, or rather rage quit from that one, that had the same sort of issues. And I rage quit because I didn't feel like the officers were doing a good job, the raid lead was doing a good job, I didn't feel like the GM was doing a good job at
We got
solving
both
these problems.
Just to remain in, but they're like not 100%.
And yes, Momo, so imbue weapons would replace my spammable.
Oh, Asia knows that. Cool.
So, what do I know?
What their rosters are gonna be on that day.
Bringing in apples as the fill, unless somebody can't make it.
But like what, Phil?
He's the 12th.
But didn't you get called in just to make it?
I don't believe so. Hold on. Let me take a. We.
We have 14 people take this.
Yeah, so I added Kolth and Germain as to progression as fill so they can see strategy so I don't have to like message them every time. Yeah. They both said they couldn't do it consistently, so that's why they're fills and not full time. So if apples comes, that's 12. Assuming nobody else can't make it.
They're not.
Okay. So, elemental weapon. So this would be our new spamble instead of force pulse. So you can see here, it basically
I don't know.
imbues your next light attack, and it deals basically additional magic damage, and it can apply randomly burning, concussed, or chilled. This would be replacing force pulse. Now, the problem here is, if you can see this, is I have to figure out a way to put both a Adric Spear ability for the additional crit damage, as well as a Destruction Staff ability for Ancient Knowledge. So that's kind of the downside here. So I might have to play around a little bit with what's going on our bars here. So I'm going to try to figure that out right now.
Yeah, just until we know we have the people.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'd rather just my
Yeah. So I think this is probably going to be a little bit better. So this way we have the Destro Staff and Adric Spear on our back. And then Spear, Destro on our front. And then this is the Magicka Minor Force ability. So this does have a cast time, so it has a 1.3 second channel time, but it gives you Minor Force, so you don't have to like run in and drop your rearming trap anymore. So we're going to try this out.
That's so poopy.
Shapoopy.
Tell Morgan we're really not that shit.
You know, he understood. Like we've all helped out with progression style guilds before, and sometimes we just have a bad day, and this was a bad day. I'm just gonna say it was a bad day because I don't want to get any more angry.
Terrible day.
Oops.
I'm not gonna stop fighting for this guild, you guys.
No, we'll get there, and like I said, I remember
that ITG's died.
Yeah.
It's a little bit before.
Doesn't really make sense though. You think you would have more people, like, you know, oh man, it's gonna be so much fun. I think we get that.
That more happens when it actually drops.
Yeah. And like I said, I think the school's good.
Yeah, school right now.
Yeah. Because a lot of people are like final exams.
Still looking.
So yeah, it's a tough time.
Drop out of school, kids.
Yeah. There you go.
As long as you get your skin.
Yeah, damn straight.
We give you a skin.
Nope.
Focusing on that Magplar.
I think so.
The what?
The fuck is that?
Is that a moose?
Yeah.
Sound like a very, very horny moose or something.
Oh, Magplars.
Later.
Yeah, I still had Sororier on, but we can just compare it to the other Sororier parts we had.
Alright.
He's probably getting, maybe this one, he's getting all moist with his parts.
Graver, told you not to use that word. Oh, I'm just like looking at imbue weapon, and it is so much better than Force Pulse. Oh my god.
Really?
Yeah, I got 1.5k better. Yeah, over Force Pulse. I like it. Oh, sorry. What are we talking about?
No, I was just fucking silent. So I was assuming you were parsing.
Yeah, I was parsing.
The only downside of that is, I mean, it's good that all classes will have an even better scannable, which is nice. The downside is unless they change it, grinding up Sigic on like 3 or 4 pairs.
It's gonna suck. Yeah.
Well, they made Joe crafting into a complete grind, so I can't imagine the Sigic skill line being any different.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so you can see here that imbue weapon did end up building better. So this was the 34.5 from this warrior parse with Force Pulse.
Well, before I sign off,
And
is there
over
anything
here,
you guys think I could have done better?
this is this warrior parse with Ellie weapon.
Yelled at people.
Lay down the law.
Like,
Get your
seriously? I mean, I'm. If you guys think I need to be permanently
At first, no, but when you got people doing repeating the same mistake over and over and over and over and over, yeah, probably make it all out on cheek.
Yeah, I know how, as long as it's, you know, like, personally, if
I
I'm doing
think I did
something
Momo.
wrong,
Let me check.
I want to know about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not nice to
Yeah.
do it in an asshole way, but there's way you can do it nicely, and also it's beneficial to the other people too, because you know maybe
Maybe somebody's too embarrassed to ask, and you're just
What?
like maybe someone's too embarrassed to ask or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, as was seen tonight, they're not going to admit it themselves. There was plenty of times where after pulls or after wipes and everything, they were asked, you know, does anyone have any questions about what to do in the fight? Does anyone have any questions of what they did wrong in not
So
case?
now we're gonna try this with Burning Spell to see what the full potential is. Now that we know Ellie Weapon is going to be a little bit better than Force Pulse. Hold on, let me just check something real quick.
The only one that said anything was Baba. He said, "Call me out on my shit."
So Ellie Weapon did about 3k. We'll call it 3k just for ease of looking at things.
So, yeah, just a bad night.
This is
Just going
about
to be off Sunday and just clear it with ease, make up for
a
it.
little lower. It still seems like Force Pulse is doing a little bit lower DPS. So maybe it's not quite as strong. Maybe it's also because we had Minor Force. So I probably have to do this parse with Force Pulse and then Acceleration.
I don't know, do we want to have like a meeting and discuss how the score we want to take for our score items, or
Yeah.
Yes.
should we do that before or after?
Let's do it
Or we could do
after.
it tomorrow, maybe.
I can do tomorrow too, yeah.
I keep thinking today's Saturday and tomorrow's Sunday.
It is Saturday.
I guess, oh yeah, material.
Yeah, I mean, that we can figure it.
We can do it at 9, so TS trials are probably not coming.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go play more Divinity.
Yay, Divinity.
Have fun, so.
Divinity is a great game.
Some Far Cry's. Continue on my Far Cry binge.
Tell those called this. My sister plays that game, that's the only reason I know that. Okay, night guys.
Good night.
Apple's useless.
See ya. Oh, what happened there? Rip parse. I have no idea what just happened there. It just kicked me to the login screen there. I didn't get a chance to do that. Finish up that parse. So we'll go back in and do that parse and see see how it goes. But it didn't seem promising. I can tell you that much. But I didn't get to finish it. So we'll have to go back and see. That was interesting. I have no idea why that happened, how that happened, or anything like that, so. Oh, I'm still using Zon? Fuck. I'm an idiot. I was still using Zon that entire time. Oh, I feel really stupid right now. Okay, so instead of Zon, we should be using Scoria. Find Scoria. Let me just double check. Yeah, I need heavy. Oops. I think I did the exact same thing last time I was streamed with the Magnite Blade range parse, where I was using Zod instead of Scoria again. So, oopsies. Not that I think it should change too much. I feel stupid. It's also starting to get late too, so what I will do here is I will do Imbue Weapon with Acuity and Burning Spellweave, because I think this is probably going to be best in slot for ranged Magplar. And then I'll do it again this time with Force Pulse and see how that pulls. And we'll see whether or not that works. This time I'll have Scoria, so I actually forgot to make another Retroglyph. So I can actually do all Magica glyphs here. Hopefully I won't get booted to the login screen again. I don't know why I was booted. I tell you right now that the rotation is a little bit different from what I'm used to. The shards, the duration there isn't really lining up very well, I think. It's not bad. It's not a bad rotation, just it's a little bit different, so I'm sure there are ways I can make the rotation a little bit better. Maybe put Purifying Light in the back bar instead of Reflective Light, maybe? I'll have to play around with the specific skills later. Looks like I think I might have barge cancel out of that. Still having a little bit of sustain issues here, even with Imbue Weapon, or Elemental Weapon. Now, the execute phase I didn't get to last time before I lagged out, so I'm not sure what to keep up. I normally just keep up Blockade and Spear Shards. So there we go. So 37.6, so that's with Ellie Weapon. Then we have to do it again with Force Pulse, because I wasn't using Scoria on that Force Pulse part, so I'll have to do that again with Force Pulse. And then we can see if Force Pulse is better for on a ranged Magplar or not. So now I'm going to have to basically do a lot of swapping around here. Take care of that. And we will keep challenge acceleration back here on the back bar with that minor force, so it's more comparable that way. We already have our ulti up, so we can go just straight into the next parse. Oh, wait, hold on. I forgot to swap my ultis around. Okay, whatever. I'll just keep going until I get my ultimate back. Yeah, because I need to swap my ultimates around because I'm not getting the 10% additional crit damage on my Magplar right now. And it does seem like action duration reminder is doing something weird. It seems like after Purifying Light goes down, it seems to be recounting it. So like you can see here, it's going, it's going, it's going, it's gone, and then it restarts the timer, which I think is the timer for the healing circle down here. So I think that's what action duration reminder is doing. That might be Shrendar, might be action duration reminder. I'm not sure which one it is. I know they updated Shrendars to count cooldowns, I think. I'm just not sure where it is. I don't really have time to look for it either, because I do want to get this parse done. Do this parse, and then we'll do a Asylum parse, and then I'll probably call the night there. And then I'll try to get on tomorrow night. I'm not sure if you guys were around to see or hear this, but whether or not I get on tomorrow to test things is going to be dependent on how well my code ran tonight for one of my finals. So if it ends up being having some errors, I might not have time to get on because I have to fix those errors. And I'll swap these around so I actually have everything I need. There we go. Now we can do the parse. Sneeze. So we're definitely seeing sustain issues again with force pulse. That's not a big surprise. And I think the sustain is what's going to kill the ranged Magplar. It's just a lot to sustain a force pulse rotation. Granted, we were also having sustain problems with elemental weapon, but it certainly didn't feel quite this bad. It kind of sucks because our execute J-beam, it gets stronger if we get more magic though. There we go. A much better comparison. let's see here. So with Force Pulse we did 37.3, and our regen per strain per second is about 100 disparity here. Then this was the Ellie weapon. About a little bit worse regen per drain, so 130. Let's see how many heavy attacks I did. I did one heavy attack during this rotation. Let's see, minor force was 92, minor vuln was 13, minor vuln was 5. So other parts, it's about a 8% difference in minor vulnerability, which isn't that big of a deal. That is less than 1% difference due to the debuff there, so that's not a big deal. I did 5 heavy attacks here, so that might explain the regen per strain per second. If we take a look here, heavy attack versus heavy attack, so that's probably what's made up the difference there, the 5 heavy attacks. So we can just say that the resource, like sustain, is about the same between the two of them. So yeah, I'm not sure which one I like better. Elemental weapon's not bad. I think it's probably a little bit better just in terms of sustain, because I don't have to do 1 heavy attack versus 5. And they did pull a little bit higher DPS, but we also have to take into consideration we have an extra source of damage. Granted, it didn't do that much DPS, so even if we take that out, elemental weapon is still doing more DPS. So the last parse we're going to be doing is going to be the Perfected Asylum Staff with 5-piece acuity. I will have to craft that actually, the 5-piece acuity, and then 3 willpower jewelry. So we will have to craft the acuity stuff, but I have everything else already. And this is still with 2 spell damage and 1 regen glyph, so I do think you're going to have to do regen glyph on a ranged Magplar at least. And then let's craft some acuity. I'll just do all light. This doesn't really matter what I crafted in. I'm just gonna go with my typical, like, where is it? I'll just do a standard mouse tune. And so we'll see whether the Perfected Asylum is any better. I just have to remember to try not to bar swap out of that proc. My chair is caught on the wire. Yeah, it's caught on the mic wire. There we go. And upgrade all the acuity stuff. So the downside of doing this is that if you're using acuity, at least it's gonna be your proc that's active on all bars. But the good thing is, I guess, Magplars, actually pretty much every single Magicka DPS class except Nightblades and Sorks, they don't have a proc. So like Magplars don't have the bow proc, they don't have frag procs. So it's not really as important to control that acuity parse, the acuity proc I should say. I would still prefer to be able to control it, especially in the instances during execute, when you kind of want to make sure it procs on your J-beam, so you get all your ticks of J-beam in. And if it procs on your back bar, you know, while you're relaying your dots, you won't be able to get the acuity proc on all of your J-beam hits, which is kind of why I had J-beam on the front bar, so I can control the execute phase. I get all my crits on my J-beam. So with the acuity active on both bars, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to control it, so J-beam will be quite as strong. Or at least the potential DPS out of J-beam is not going to be quite as good. I need to make Magicka glyph. So the verdict so far is, and again, I haven't tested all the possible combinations yet. I will try to do that tomorrow. I will write down which ones I still have to do, because I kind of want to also test elemental weapons in melee range, but it's starting to get late, and I should probably start heading to bed or something, so I'm not super tired tomorrow. But the verdict so far is melee melee Magplar is better than ranged Magplar. Ranged Magplar, there's some pretty bad sustain problems, or at least the way I'm playing ranged Magplar. So that's the verdict so far. In terms of ally weapon versus force pulse for ranged Magplar, ally weapon by far is better. Or not by far, but I think it's better. But this is kind of be like the final test here for setups. And in terms of gear for ranged Magplar, it seems like Scoria, Burning Spellweave, Acuity is going to be what's going to be doing it. Until I have a chance to test out Moondancer on a Magplar. I really want Moondancer to be really good. It's just the random proc chance on Moondancer is kind of what turns a lot of people away from it, because like sometimes you get the regen when you're at full resources and that doesn't help you. You're just like scrounging for another synergy. So I don't know, we'll see. I'd have to see if someone is willing to help me out on the PTS with giving me synergies for J-Beam. I wouldn't say J-Beam is trash, but I would say it needs a buff. Like pre-Morrowind, I think it was Morrowind when they changed how execute scale, because Nightblade execute didn't used to scale appropriately, so they changed how it was all calculated, and that somehow also changed how J-Beam was calculated. So J-Beam used to crit for like 80-90k on execute phases, and now it crits for like 50k if you're lucky. So J-Beam does need like a buff. I wouldn't say it's necessarily trash. It's definitely something you should use in execute. But like to give you an idea, in Homestead, Magicka Templars, like melee Magicka Templars, were perfectly viable for vet trials. They were actually pretty decent. And you would actually start executing with J-Beam at 33% health instead of the current like 25-20 recommended. And that's because J-Beam was so strong back then. You basically were just kept up blockade, your shards for the burning spear passive crits, and then you J-Beam until the boss is dead. And you would get like 70, 80, 90k crits. Now I think the highest crit that I've seen on a J-Beam with like full raid buffs and everything, I think was like 65, 70k. So it was definitely a nerf. So I do hope they fix it at some point. Mag decay best result was Sun and Acuity. Okay, so I'll try out Sun and Acuity. I think from my last stream I said I was going to test Acuity and Elfbane, and then I don't think I tested Sun and Acuity. I tested Burning Spellweave and Acuity. So I'll try out Sun and Acuity maybe tomorrow, maybe Sunday. We'll see what I have time for this weekend, because it is finals. It's finals time, finals crunch. Let's go ahead and so this is the Perfected Asylum Staff, 3 willpower, and Acuity with Scoria. We're still having sustain issues because it's a force pulse build. I think this problem, I really do think elemental weapons is going to be better for Magplar at this point. The sustain with force pulse is absolute garbage. And the added sustain from using ally weapons, I think, is going to be a lot stronger for melee or for Magplars compared to using force pulse. like this is just, I don't like I don't like this. Sustain, give me back my Magplar Night Blade. I would use my ulti here, but it's not going to make that big of a difference. I mean, it will jump my DPS up, but it's kind of an artificial boost. Oh, the sustain is just terrible. Which is weird because, like, the sustain wasn't that bad on the other Force Pulse parse. So I don't know what happened here, but it was just absolute garbage. So yeah, I don't like this at all. I don't like the setup at all. I just don't. Compared to LE weapon, don't have to heavy attack as much, so it'll end up being a little bit better for your sustain, better for DPS. But the acceleration, challenge acceleration, I'm not sure how I feel about it, because there is a cast time associated with it. So, but it is like a huge minor force. You only really have to cast it like every 36 seconds. So I think you'll find use for it. Just a matter of what do you want to replace on your back bar. So here I just replaced the inner light, but like on a Magplar Night Blade, it's going to be like, what do you replace? I guess inner light on your back bar. So you kind of have to figure out what you want to give up for that minor force. It's probably going to end up being something like inner light back bar or something like that. So yeah, it's about 1:30 here, and I should probably get to bed soon. Gotta figure out how to do my finals and assignments and stuff over the weekend. So I'm gonna call the night here, guys. So this entire stream was just purely Magicka Templar, melee Magplar, ranged Magplar. So just a quick summary for you guys for who missed the first half, which was mostly melee Magplar. For melee Magplar, it seems like a QED Master Architect is going to be the way to go with Zahn, 3 Bloodthirsty, everything like that. I only managed to test sweeps and Force Pulse, so didn't manage to test LE weapon at all. That's going to be my next thing, and then I'll compare LE weapon to the sweeps parse, because the Force Pulse parse was a little bit worse than our sweeps parse, if I'm remembering correctly. They weren't too far off, but sweeps is a lot better in terms of sustain, so we could go with 3 spell damage. That ended up pushing sweeps ahead of Force Pulse. But now the thing I want to try is LE weapon, is that beat out sweeps on a melee Magplar. Then for a ranged Magplar, it's going to be Acuity and Burning Spellweave, with Burning Spellweave on your body and Acuity as your weapon. That's probably going to be best in slot. For right now, again, this is still the PTS. We still have like 3 weeks of testing to do. And then, yeah, LE weapon is probably going to be best for ranged Magplars, just for the added sustain. Don't got to heavy attack as much, and things like that. So yeah, next week is going to be the new balance changes that are coming out. So for those of you guys who haven't really played around the PTS before, normally the PTS cycle goes like this. First week is the release, second week is going to be small bug fixes that they're able to patch right away within the week. The third week is generally going to be combat changes. And then, so they might change, for example, in this patch, they might change light attack, scaling a little, maybe not scaling, but they might nerf the damage down for your Magicka builds. They might change a couple of things here and there with sets, because I know they said they want to change the perfect sets from the trials, from the new trial. So that's where all the balance changes comes in. You might see some class changes as well. Hopefully they'll have a buff for like Magicka Wardens. They might buff, in my opinion, they should probably buff like Swarm or something like that. So that's kind of the third week. Fourth week is also going to be some minor tweaks, usually some bug fixes, but sometimes it'll be combat changes that were too complex to make it into the third week. And then the fifth week is normally the release date for the new patch, but in this case we have an extra week, so we have a 5th week of testing, and that one is again usually some sort of like bug fixes, as well as minor combat changes that they could change between 4 and 5, or between 3 and 5 if there were larger changes that they had to fix there. So next week is going to be the major fix, and we're going to keep an eye on the patch notes and see what happens. So hopefully I'll be able to get time to get on Tuesday and Wednesday. Again, it's going to kind of depend on how I do on my final assignments, how quickly I can get those done. They're all due that Friday, so my plan is to get them all done by Wednesday. So hopefully I'll be able to get them done Wednesday afternoon and spend Wednesday night just kind of on the PTS. And yeah, Momo, I have a feeling Rearming Trap might be better for melee Magplar, just because you're already in melee range, and you don't have to consume Magicka to get Minor Force that way. You just have to consume Stamina instead, which is your secondary resource. So I think for melee Magplar, Rearming Trap will still be the thing, but for ranged Magplar, the new acceleration, that will definitely replace whatever is on the Magplar right now, Inner Light or Rearming Trap or something like that. So thanks for watching, guys. I know there was you guys probably might have overheard a couple of drama happening in Hellfire. We are looking for dedicated raiders for our vet trials team. Our requirements are really 25k on a 6 million dummy, self-buffed, no cheese, so no lover or anything like that, no twice fang snake if you're a stam DPS, and then you just have to run a vet DLC dungeon with one of the raid leads or the officers, just so we know that you have situational awareness and things like that. Same thing with healers and tanks, you just need to have certain sets, so SBC and Worm or Mending for healers, Ebon and Torix for tanks, and just run through DLCs and get evaluated. So if you are interested in raiding with Hellfire, we typically raid, we've been trying out a couple of things. We've been trying a weekday raid, so recently it's been like we tried out Tuesday, which works fairly well, but we might swap to like Wednesday or Thursday. Friday is another raid. Saturday is also typically a raid night. And then Sunday is our progression night, so we raid pretty much completely on the weekend, so Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday is our score runs, our leaderboard runs, and then Saturday is kind of our training runs for people who are newer to vet trials. So we don't really have any sort of requirements in terms of you have to have done like VA or anything. We just ask that you pass the DPS check, and that's pretty much it. So we try to pull you in that way. I just saw your question about average DPS. So melee Magplar was pulling around 38.5, ranged Magplar was pulling around the same, like 37.8, so a little bit less with Ellie weapon at least. With Force Pulse it was a little bit lower. And then yeah, melee Magplars were pulling around 38.5. So for reference, Mag DKs are pulling around 41 self-buffed. At least I pull around 41, and I haven't seen anybody pull higher than 42 yet, at least in the raid guilds that I'm in. So I'm not sure if melee Magplars are going to be a thing in next patch, especially because melee Magblades, you can use a QD Master Architect and still give Major Slayer to those in melee range. So yeah, I am overall I'm not very confident with where Templars are at for PvE, both Stamplars and Magplars, because with the changes to Thunderflame, Stamplars are kind of been made even more obsolete, because now they took what was unique to Stamplars and made it available to everybody. So I'm not very optimistic about the state of Templars and PvE DPS. So we'll see what happens. I will do some more testing as the week goes on, and hopefully the rebalance next week will shake things up enough that things will be more in line with what like 40k ish for a melee Magplar. Alright, so that's enough rambling from me. I will see you guys hopefully this weekend. I'll try to stream PTS. I'll try to get on PTS on Saturday. Definitely be streaming VHoff run on Sunday though with Hellfire. So be on the lookout for that. That's going to be actually pushed back an hour, so that's going to be from 8 to 11 instead of the standard 7 to 10. So I will schedule that so you guys know the time change. So have a good night, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. And I will also, once this stream is uploaded onto YouTube, I will put a link down to our Discord for Hellfire, as well as our vet trials requirements if anybody's interested in raiding with us. So have a good night, guys. I will see you guys in the next dungeon.